Will this $450 airsoft replica toy outperform a $1,200 duty grade Iris 3? Let's find out now. For the middle child of the shooters, always overlooked, never outgunned, welcome back to Double Charlie, and happy 4th of July, everyone. We have a controversial one today, and what better day to talk about two Chinese lasers than on America's birthday. We're going to give you some opinions as to, why I think this $450 airsoft replica toy is outperforming a Chinesium, $1,200 to $1,000 supposedly duty grade optic. We'll just dive into, have a whole bunch of time on the NGAL, guys. We have a sample size of 5. Somo Gear does not know who Double Charlie is. I've had some interactions with them, using their PECs, but we're not going to talk about the PECs today. Strictly the NGAL, and honestly, guys, pretty impressed with it. Always big shout out to our sponsor, Abe's Awesome Armament, located in New Hampton, New Hampshire on Route 104. Go check them out if you are in the area. As I mentioned, guys, the controversy that I believe is going to come with this being a replica, and if you're on any of the social media groups, whether that's Reddit, Facebook, Instagram, and you post this in a group, chances are somebody's going to have something to say about it being an airsoft toy. Chances are that person also hasn't purchased one and actually used it to see its capabilities. We've had these in extreme environments, being New Hampshire, and extreme being, out to negative 20 degrees on night hikes through the mountains on 4Ks, or in 105 degree summer days, like it was just the other day. This thing's been staying, on point as far as zero goes. We haven't seen any zero shift at all with the NGALs. The Somo Gear PECs are a different story, but for their NGAL specifically, these have survived heavy rainstorms, heavy humidity. They've been thrown around in a Pelican box for the last 2 years, and they've have thousands of rounds on them at this point. They have the same exact form factor as your L3 NGAL. The biggest cons with them is the base. If Somo Gear could just address that one issue, these things would be pretty impossible to compete with. So as far as how it holds up, which is what everyone wants to know, being advertised as an airsoft laser, the zero shift has been minimal, if at all. While it's good practice to always go and check your zero every 5 to 1,000 to 1,500 rounds, doesn't matter what optic you're using. So the biggest thing that everyone wants is going to talk about is the zero shift. Do they hold zero? And with thousands of rounds on these things, we can honestly say there's been little to zero shift with your zero. I mean, it's good practice to be checking your lasers no matter what optic you're using, whether that's a Maul or a Steiner A3 or a Somo Gear NGAL. After 1,000 rounds, you probably want to check your zeros anyways. Yeah, so have you heard about the Somo Gear specs on their laser?
No, tell me about it.
Pretty wild, man. So the performance is crazy, dude. It is about a 20 milliwatt laser, which is it's about a 20 milliwatt illuminator, which is wild. About as strong as your civilian Maul, which is just wild. And then for their lasers, you're looking at about a milliwatt on the high side, and then on their visible, it's about a 5 milliwatt visible laser. So the specs are pretty impressive with this little here Chinesium unit. So the NGAL has been great. It's been holding up, like I said, to plenty of rain, plenty of environmental changes, up and down elevations, inside boxes, thrown around on the range. It hasn't shifted zero. The form factor is incredible. The L3, the real L3 NGAL is loved for a reason. What's cool is you can actually take the real L3 diffuser caps, throw it on this, and then you have an incredible, a sub $600 L3 clone, because those diffuser caps are about 150 bucks, right?
Yeah, you can get just the illuminator for cheaper. If you want the laser cap, that's where it starts to get a little more pricey.
Gotcha. Holosun laser is looking at a peak around 5 milliwatt. The IR is about a 0.7 V cell. So that's the biggest difference between the two. And the IR illuminator is saying it's a 60 milliwatt V cell, but I am not seeing that. So as you heard with that laser specs there, guys, the Holosun is claiming a 60 milliwatt V cell laser. We'll be rolling in plenty of footage showing that to not be the case. That would be meaning the laser is twice as bright as the Somo Gear, which it's clearly not. The Somo Gear is outperforming in the visible side and on the IR side on all but one sample. Only one of the NGALs the Holosun outperforms. So up first is the SomoGear NGAL on full power. As you can see, not too bad. John, if you want to fire up the Holosun.
It's about 150 yards there.
So as far as illuminator goes, illuminators are, well, you know, we have a pretty bright night behind us as well. Half moon, clear sky. Dial them all the way in. That's as narrow for the, this is Somo Gear on the right, Holosun on the left. Holosun dials way down. Great. Then with the lasers are you know, you have a beam and you don't. Cool. Do you want to throw up the other two? Josh and Taylor, do you guys want to throw your Holosuns up?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say they're pretty much all on point. So your quality control, are you recording still, Ryan?
Yep.
Yeah, so all three of them are pretty on par, right? Quality control seems to be there as far as output goes. Is that a Holosun? Is that the Somo Gear up right now?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the Somo Gear in high.
Yep.
So we'll throw up my Somo Gear in high and clear difference. So quality control. So the quality control with the Somo Gear is obviously going to vary. Though that's, you know, we've had 4 of these and only the one has had the significant loss of performance. So take that for what it's worth. I still stand on business when it comes to Somo Gear over the Holosun due to the switchology alone. Hopefully Holosun can see this video and you know, hear that, because if they could just address that, that will end up beating out the NGAL, not beating out the Maul. But we'll see. Josh thinks it beats out the Maul, but I don't. Size-wise between the two, they are near identical. They are, Holosun's a little bit shorter. Girth, definitely identical. She would not tell a difference if you were playing, you know, that game. Who's my mouth?
Yeah, but on a gun, do you really notice the difference between the two sizes?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. No. No. The Holosun. Man, what a letdown. This thing got a big hype around it. Comes in at a really nice price point. Until you get it. And then you realize, wow, they cut a lot of corners to get to that price point, and it makes sense why it's that now. Don't get me wrong, the illuminator is nice, it's clean, V-cell's great, great technology. The laser is clean. Then the switchology on the rear is, unless you are, you know, I don't even know. It's just nearly impossible to switch these with just your thumb. You have to, like, if you had to change your settings on the fly, you'll have to completely you know, you're gonna have to basically just completely let go of your gun and put it down and grab some pliers and fucking move the things. It's insane. Yeah. So Holosun definitely shows you where they cut the corners, and it's on the switchology on this one. Especially trying to do this stuff at night. I don't know what they were expecting, you know, with gloves on, especially in the wintertime. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong, you know, thing looks great. Profile is incredible. Output is lacking greatly. The mount is nice. They have the recoil lug that the Somo Gear doesn't have. So, you know, it beats it on the mounting, but as we mentioned, you know, we haven't had any issues with the Somo Gear mounting. So, some really cool things about the Holosun, so I don't, you know, piss off everybody too bad. Not that my opinion really matters or is valid, considering we're just a bunch of dudes in New Hampshire that buy stuff, shoot stuff, and basically just trying to help you not make a bad purchase. I also really enjoy or like having the front load battery, because that allows you to use, you know, I like the HRT ramps. I'm not sure if you guys have seen those with the mod button. It puts it at that angle. You can mount nice and close to the rear. With your, you know, with the NGALs, you can't. If you have to change that battery, you're not going to be able to take the cap off as easily with something as butted up to the rear. So that was nice, putting the front loading battery. But again, them just cutting that corner, a big corner on the switchology, is really what's just pushing it away from me. One of the pros on this Holosun Iris is the divergence slider, right? That is a very nice control. They put some thought into that. However, that is not controlling your power, right? Your power is still controlled on the rear. If you want to go from low to high, you're still going to have to lose your grip on your rifle, go on up and make that happen, which is not, you know, not what you want to be doing on the fly if you had to. Now, the Holosun does have some aftermarket support now. Villain Weapon Systems came out with the diffuser, which is definitely needed, while the divergence slider does get this to an okay size. It's not nearly as wide as I would personally like it to be, especially when you're doing some, you know, walking through some pretty dense forest at night and you want your illuminator on because you heard a scary noise to your left. But switchology alone, guys, is enough for me to stand clear and not purchase this Holosun Iris 3. Is this the mall killer? The Holosun Iris GR3. Well, GR stands for green. That's what this one is. No, it's not. Not even close. Honestly, it is far from it. It's not even the SomoGear NGAL killer. Put it at that. SomoGear NGAL versus Holosun Iris 3, guys. Man. Who would have thought? Two Chinese companies going head to head in the laser world. Well, I guess everyone would have thought. The SomoGear NGAL, guys, has impressed all of us to the point where I'm making this video to tell you that you should get one over a Holosun Iris if that's what you're doing. If you're looking at a budget optic or budget laser right now, again, this is a budget video. This isn't for the guys that are going to go flex in the Facebook groups. This isn't for the dudes that are going to go, you know, post their stuff. Actually, you can't post it on Instagram because these are super LARP worthy. These are cool. You know, they look cool, but, you know, these work. They perform well. They're priced great. You can get the L3 diffuser caps for them. The only thing I'd say is get the recoil lug on the rear. The Holosun looks great, performs nothing to what it's advertised. Cut corners on the Switchology. Has a great front loading battery. V-cell illuminators clean, lasers clean. Has the recoil lug on the mount. Alright guys, that brings us to the end of another one. The SomoGear NGAL versus the Holosun Iris 3, supposed mall killer that couldn't even beat out the SomoGear NGAL. Get in the comments, tell us why we're wrong. Tell us what laser you're using, one that, you know, can beat out the SomoGear, one that definitely beats out the Holosun, because everything but the A3 beats out the Holosun. Hey, always stay tactical, stay practical, always shoot based. We'll see you on the next one.